This evening, I am humbled to honor 3 individuals whose service to Stetson University, their leadership in the legal profession, and their service to the community has literally spanned decades. It is a privilege to celebrate this year's inductees. As I introduce each of the inductees, we'll present a short film on each and then invite them to the podium for brief remarks. So, without further ado, our first inductee, Will Florin, is a 1980 graduate of Stetson College. It's okay to clap. You can clap. So let me tell you just a little bit about him before you see his film. He is a 1980 graduate of the College of Law, an adjunct faculty member, and a member of both the Board of Overseers and the Board of Trustees at Stetson University. At age 29, he co-founded what is now Florin Robic. 1 year later, he obtained the then largest reported jury verdict in Pinellas County history, quite possibly becoming the youngest lawyer in America to obtain a multi-million-dollar jury verdict. Since that time, Will and partner and fellow Stetson Law alumnus Tommy Robic have continually set records. 2 of the jury verdicts they obtained are among the top 50 in the nation. Will has been named among the best lawyers in America for 11 years in a row. He describes his most professionally rewarding achievement as successfully prosecuting a federal race discrimination case. Florin Robic has sponsored the travel component of Stetson's Civil Rights History course since it began. Stetson named its Florin Robic courtroom for the firm in 2006, and I hope you'll enjoy hearing more about Hall of Fame inductee Will Florin in this short film.
Will H. Florin was born in Salzburg, Austria in 1955. His mother, Maria, and father, Herman, met in a post-war refugee camp where Will's grandmother, father, and 4 siblings lived in a single-room barrack. Will, the oldest of 4 sons, spent his early childhood in a small 3-room house in Austria. Sponsored by Lutheran Services, Will, as a young child, immigrated to the United States with his family aboard a World War II-era cargo plane. They spoke no English, and during their initial year in the U.S., shared a basement with another sponsored family. At age 6, the family moved to a modest home in Fort Wayne, Indiana, where the family of 6 lived for most of Will's pre-college years. Will's mother worked as a cleaning lady, and his father made his career as a toolmaker. Throughout his childhood and continuing today, Will has been active in many sports, but particularly in competitive soccer. He attended Ball State University on an athletic scholarship for soccer. His teammates elected him captain during his senior season. He was named MVP of the 1976 Indiana East-West College All-Star Game. Will was also elected president of Sigma Phi Epsilon, Ball State's largest social fraternity. Will entered Stetson Law in January of 1978. He won the 1980 Stetson Moot Court Competition and represented Stetson at the Robert Orsick State Competition. He graduated in May of 1980. From 1980 to 1985, he practiced with a large firm in Dallas, Texas, and later with the Pinellas County Attorney's Office. In 1985, at age 29, he co-founded what is now Florin Robic. That same year, his current partners, Tommy Robic and Michael Walker, joined the firm as law clerks, being introduced to Will by Professor Emeritus and Hall of Fame inductee Robert Bickle. At age 30, Will obtained the then largest reported jury verdict in Pinellas County history, possibly becoming the youngest lawyer in America to obtain a multi-million-dollar jury verdict. Since that time, he and Tommy Robic have obtained numerous record-setting Tampa Bay area jury verdicts, including what are believed to be the largest contested jury verdicts in Pasco County, Hernando County, and Sumter County histories. 2 of those verdicts were reported by the National Law Journal as ranked among the top 50 in the nation in 2014 and 2016, respectively. Will and Tommy have worked on some of the nation's most scrutinized civil cases, representing wrestling great Hulk Hogan and former USF head football coach Jim Leavitt. In 2010, Will became one of very few attorneys to ever have their legal career profiled by the Tampa Bay Times. In 2017, he and Tommy appeared on CBS News 48 Hours. Recently, they, along with Will's son Chad, were retained by the victim in one of the world's most highly publicized cases of 2018. Will describes his most rewarding professional achievement to be the successful national class action prosecution of a federal race discrimination case. As lead class counsel, he obtained a multi-million-dollar settlement and secured an agreement that implemented broad-based corporate changes in promotional practices. In 2015, Florin Robig was named to the National Law Journal's Top 50 Elite Civil Trial Firms list. As a longtime state and nationally board-certified civil trial lawyer, Will has been peer-selected to Best Lawyers in America for 11 years running, and Florin Robig has been named by U.S. News among the best law firms in America for the past 10 years. Will has served Stetson as an adjunct professor and a member of both the Board of Overseers and Board of Trustees. He received Stetson's Paul May Meritorious Service Award in 2007. Since its inception, Florin Robig has sponsored the travel component of Stetson's Civil Rights History course. Constructed in 1993 and rededicated in 2006, Stetson named its Florin Robig courtroom for the firm. Will's sons, Chad, Chase, and Parker, are graduates of Stetson Law. All work as Florin Robig trial lawyers. Will's daughter, Logan, a University of Tampa graduate, is responsible for social media at the firm and is married to Florin Robig trial attorney and Stetson Law graduate Nick Costantino. Will considers his children to collectively be his most significant and meaningful personal achievement. Will Florin is now a member of the Stetson University College of Law Hall of Fame.
I would now like to invite Provost Painter to join me in presenting the Hall of Fame Award to Will Florin. Will, would you please join us on stage?
Thank you so much. You know, for those of you that have chosen a career in trial or litigation, you know that we've chosen a career path where we deal in constant conflict every week. We try to help folks that have problems, folks that sometimes have emotional concerns, and it's work that requires long hours at times, that takes us away from the people we love. What prepared me for this particular life was overwhelmingly two things. The lessons that I learned at the kitchen table on Babcock Drive in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and the lessons that I learned from the folks at this law school. You know, in our lifetime, there's very few things that can't be taken from you. I know maybe if there's some George Benson fans out there, you're probably saying, well, you can't take away my dignity. I've had plenty of folks that have come looking for help because their dignity has been taken from them. They can take your health, they can take your wealth, they can take your celebrity. You've seen in the video, we've represented people that's happened to all of them. But you know, one thing they can't ever take from you is your education. And I'm so grateful to this place because they've given me something, given my kids something that can never be taken from them. You know, there's a lot of successful people when I look around the room, and none of us got here alone. None of us in this room are self-made. All of us got to where we are by standing on the shoulders of others. And some of the shoulders that I've stood on are in this room today. I was taught how to think like a lawyer by professors like Professor Beatty, Professor Eleazar. I was taught what it means to be a lawyer by Bob Bickel. My partners, Tommy and Mike, who have stood with me through all the professional ups and downs, and believe me, it hasn't been 33 years of wine and roses. They've stood by me when others did not. And then most of all, my parents, who brought me when I was little to this country for a better life. 2 suitcases and me. And you know, I know there's probably other people in this room that are the children of immigrants, like my parents. You know, 2 of my best friends in the whole world are here tonight, Ron Diaz and Dave Martin. They'll know what I'm talking about because they both came to this country as children, brought by their parents as immigrants. No one suffers or sacrifices more for their kids than immigrants. And that was the case with me. I'm eternally thankful to all those shoulders that I've stood on. And you know, this is the kind of award that comes to those of us that have more yesterdays in our career than we do tomorrows. And I get asked fairly routinely, when are you going to retire? When are you going to start smelling the roses? What's on your bucket list? When are you going to travel, see the world? For those of you that are wondering, you need to know something. I get to go to work every single day with every one of my kids. I've tried cases with them, I've taken depositions with them, I've done mediations with them, I've waited on jury verdicts to come back with them, I've done social media and marketing and charity campaigns with them. There is no beach, there is no mountain, there is no golf course or ski slope that could provide me more joy than I get every day of the week trying to help others alongside my kids. So if you want to know what's on my bucket list, take a look at this table over here. For those of you that were on the committee, whether alumni or faculty or administration, that felt I was worthy of this award, I'm eternally grateful, and thank you so much. And I thank all of you for being here tonight to share this with me.
Our next inductee, Professor Rebecca Morgan. So let me tell tell you a little bit about Professor Morgan before we see her video. She is also a 1980 graduate of the College of Law. She has served as a member of the faculty since 1985, when she began teaching elder law classes and overseeing the Elder Law Clinic. 10 years later, she created the Center for Excellence in Elder Law. With her colleague, Professor Bobby Flowers, she spearheaded construction of the Eliezer courtroom here on campus. The courtroom is a model for barrier-free accessibility, named for Professor Emeritus Bill Eliezer. She helped create the LLM in Elder Law and is helping to lead the new Master of Jurisprudence in Healthcare Compliance. Professor Morgan is the chair of the National Conference on Special Needs Planning and Special Needs Trust, now celebrating its 20th year. She has won dozens of awards. Among them, the Florida Supreme Court Faculty Award on Professionalism, and along with Professor Flowers, the Project Award on Professionalism from the Florida Supreme Court. Former VA Secretary and U.S. Senator Max Cleland has called Professor Morgan the godmother of elder law. I hope you will enjoy hearing more about Hall of Fame inductee, my wonderful colleague, Professor Rebecca Morgan, in this short film.
Rebecca Morgan was born and grew up in Clinton, Missouri. She is the middle of 3 children of Father Joe and Mother Kay Cohen, including brother J.B. and sister Amy. Becky's mother, Kay Cohen, owned her own business, the Neighborhood Music Shop. Becky met her husband, Jay, at Clinton High School. Married in 1974, Jay and Becky moved to Florida in 1977 after Jay finished his master's degree in gerontology and took a job with the Office on Aging with the City of St. Petersburg. Becky is a graduate of Central Missouri State University, where she developed an interest in consumer law. After moving to Florida, she applied to and was accepted as a student at Stetson Law. At Stetson, Becky interned at the Elder Law Clinic at Gulf Coast Legal Services and knew she had found her niche. Upon graduation, she began to build the foundation for her career as a preeminent and nationally and internationally known expert in elder law, ultimately being called the godmother of elder law by former VA Secretary Max Cleland. After graduating from Stetson Law in 1980, Becky was hired by Gulf Coast Legal Services, working in the Senior Advocacy Unit. In 1985, she left Gulf Coast and returned to Stetson, teaching elder law classes and overseeing a clinic. She also served for a time as Assistant Dean of Students and Associate Dean of Academics. She has become a loved and respected colleague, friend, and mentor to hundreds at Stetson Law over more than 3 decades of teaching. She is truly grateful for the opportunity to do this work and for all of the students, mentors, and colleagues who have made it possible. First as a student and later as a faculty member, Professor Morgan has watched the College of Law evolve with improved diversity, activities, services, and classrooms for students. In 1995, she created the Center for Excellence in Elder Law. With Professor Roberta Flowers, she spearheaded efforts that resulted in the construction of the Eliezer courtroom as a model for barrier-free accessibility, named for Professor Emeritus Bill Eliezer. She was instrumental in the creation of Stetson's LLM in Elder Law and is currently involved in the leadership of Stetson's new Master of Jurisprudence in Healthcare Compliance. Professor Morgan has served in leadership roles at the most elite elder law organizations in the country, along with elder law affiliated organizations. She has served as president of the National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys, of Justice in Aging, and the American Association of Law Schools Section on Aging and the Law. She is past chair of the Florida Bar Elder Law Section. She also serves on the faculty of the National Judicial College. She has also served on numerous task forces, commissions, and advisory boards, including the Center for Medicare Advocacy, the ABA Commission on Law and Aging, and the Board of the American Society on Aging. She has worked with the National Elder Law Foundation, writing questions for the Nationally Certified Elder Law Attorney exams. She is past chair of the Florida Bar Elder Law Section. Professor Morgan chairs the National Conference on Special Needs Planning and Special Needs Trusts, now celebrating its 20th year. Her many awards include the 2003 Florida Supreme Court Faculty Award on Professionalism and, along with Professor Flowers, the 2005 Project Award on Professionalism from the Florida Supreme Court, the Teresa Award, Rosa Lee Wolf Memorial Elder Abuse Prevention Award, the Treat Award for Excellence from the National College of Probate Judges, the inaugural Award for Excellence in Elder Law from the National Elder Law Foundation, the NALA President's Award, and the NALA UN Award. From Stetson, she has received the Distinguished Alumni Award from the Stetson Lawyers Association, the Dean's Award, the Ben C. Willard Award, and is a two-time winner of the Homer and Dolly Hand Award. She has co-authored more than 8 books. Becky and Jay maintain a home in Colorado, which they share with 3 cats and 3 dogs. Colorado is the setting for many of her wilderness hikes and adventures. The Morgans were honored with the Keys to the City of St. Petersburg for their volunteer work with the St. Petersburg Office on Aging. Professor Morgan says, there are people in your life, whether they are family or friends or educators or employers, who saw something in you and believed in you and gave you a chance. Because of those individuals, you are where you are today. Never forget the role they play in your life and your successes. Professor Rebecca Morgan is now a member of the Stetson University College of Law Hall of Fame.
Okay, we're taking photos. So every introvert's great dream is to follow a trial lawyer on a podium. One who spoke without notes. Will. So I wanted to just take a few minutes and tell you a few things and tell you how honored I am. And I was puzzled when Dean Adams called me and told me about this, because I just see this as doing my job. And it's a job I love, and it seemed curious to me to be honored for doing a job I loved, but I will still take the award. Thanks. So, as you all heard from the video, I'm a middle child. And one of the secrets that not many of you know about middle children is it's our job to give our siblings a hard time. And as my siblings who are sitting down here will attest, I have perfected that. And I wanted to thank them not only for putting up with me for all the years of giving them a hard time, and don't think it's over, but also believing in me and cheering me on. And I want you all to know that a series of events has led me to being here tonight, and you could see some of those. But I would never have gotten here without the people in my life who gave me a chance and who believed in me from the time I was a little kid in Clinton, Missouri to today. And I really do remember those people, and I am grateful every day for them doing so, for them believing in me. Now, there in this room are a group of people, they are friends of mine, who made it their mission to see me inducted in the Hall of Fame. And I find it incredible that they think that highly of me, but not only that, they acted on it. And so I know where you are, and I owe you all a Starbucks, okay? So I want you to understand that I have the most amazing job in the world. A whole lot of people want to be law profs, but very few of us actually get to do so. And I never forget that. It is such an honor to work with our students. Somewhere in here, I have classmates that went through the Stetson experience with me back in 1978, 79, 1980. And I've remained dear friends with them. I've become rich with friendship as a result of Stetson. I have former students, attorneys with whom I've worked. So many people who are my closest friends are here today, and I'm simply humbled by people being here. I have the privilege of working with dear friends and colleagues who share my passion, for the work we do in elder law. And they never run screaming. You know this, Bobby Flowers. And they always hang in there when I say, hey, I have an idea. So thank you to all of you who have made a difference in my life, and thank you who have made it possible for me to be here and do what I do every day. And Monday, I get up and I get to do it again, and I mean that because that is fun, and I can't wait to teach my students Medicaid on Monday. So I just want to close by telling you that many years ago, I got lucky. I got lucky because Stetson faculty hired me. And I worked really hard, and I got lucky again because Stetson kept me. I am profoundly and forever grateful to Stetson for doing so. And I'm profoundly and forever grateful to all of you for being here tonight. And I want to close with recognizing my husband, Jay. He keeps smiling even when I say those three dreaded words, honey, I've been thinking. So Jay, thank you for yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And I apologize to those of you who got hugged and have glitter all over you now. And Dean Adams, thank you so very much for seeing to this. Thank you all.
Our next inductee, Professor Emeritus Michael Swigert. So Professor Swigert began his career in teaching in 1971 after working with a law firm in Chicago. At the firm, he had the opportunity to work on an antitrust dispute involving General Telephone Company versus AT&T. He joined the Stetson Law faculty in 1979 and has authored and co-authored several books, including the definitive history book about Stetson Law with the late former Dean Gary Voss. The book is entitled Florida's First Law School, A History of Stetson University College of Law. He also wrote a book about Professor William Reese Smith, Jr., namesake of our Tampa Law Center's Reese Smith Courtroom, and the extensive history of the Valparaiso Law School for its 125th anniversary. At Valparaiso, he directed the Law School National Council and launched the Swigert Moot Court competition in honor of his late father. Among his many awards are the Homer and Dolly Hand Award for Excellence in Research at Stetson University College of Law, and teaching awards from Emory and Wake Forest and Valparaiso University. I hope you will enjoy learning more about Hall of Fame inductee Professor Michael Swigert in this short film.
Michael Swigert was born in Hammond, Indiana, on the Illinois-Indiana border near Chicago. His father, a federal judge, spent 19 years at the district court, then 27 years at the U.S. 7th Circuit Court of Appeals in Chicago. His brother Bobby was born crippled and died at age 12, leaving Mike to grow up as an only child. When Mike was 11, he and his mother Midge and father Luther moved to a log home in a secluded spot in the Indiana Dunes. Mike went away to a private boarding school for high school, the Wayland Academy in Beaver Dam, Wisconsin. It was here that he realized the impact that great teaching can have on a person's life. Mike attended Carleton College, where he excelled in the classes he enjoyed, and pushed other academics aside to manage a student journal, The Inquirer. He left Carleton and 1 month later met his future wife, Diane, on a blind date. Mike asked Diane to marry him in downtown Chicago. The couple married in 1961, celebrating 57 years of marriage in 2018. After Diane and Mike married, he took a job as a newspaper reporter in Fort Wayne, Indiana, before being accepted to Valparaiso University in the fall of 1962. He excelled at Valparaiso, where he obtained his undergraduate degree, was the first editor-in-chief of the Law Review, and graduated first in his law class in 1967. He received a Master of Laws degree from Yale Law School in 1968. Diane helped put Mike through law school, working as a legal secretary. After graduating, Mike took a job with a law firm in Chicago, where he had an opportunity to work on an antitrust dispute regarding General Telephone Company versus AT&T. He was drawn to teaching and in 1971 became an assistant professor at Valparaiso Law and later a law professor at DePaul University in Chicago. He also successfully settled a heated teachers' strike in Indianapolis that led to a series of effective arbitration and mediation cases in several states. He spent 3 years working on a case that went to the Supreme Court concerning a power company attempting to build a nuclear power plant near the city of Chicago. Former Stetson Dean Richard Dillon invited Professor Swigert to be a visiting professor at Stetson, and he fell in love with the campus. Joining the Stetson faculty in 1979, Professor Swigert loved working with students and authored and co-authored several articles and books. One groundbreaking statistical piece regarding tenured professors was cited by the New York Times. A prolific writer, he co-authored the definitive history book, Florida's First Law School, A History of Stetson University College of Law, with the late Dean Gary Voss. He also wrote a book about Professor William Reese Smith, Jr., namesake of Stetson's William Reese Smith Courtroom. He wrote an extensive history book for the 125th anniversary of Valparaiso Law, where he directed the Law School National Council and started the Swigert Moot Court competition in honor of his late father. Professor Swigert has won several awards, including the Homer and Dolly Hand Award for Excellence in Research at Stetson Law, teaching awards from Emory and Wake Forest, and Valparaiso University. Professor Swigert and Diane have 2 sons, Jeffrey, born in 1967, and Gregory, born in 1977. Jeff is a financial planner, and Greg is an attorney. Both of his sons have 2 daughters. Diane went to the University of South Florida to complete her bachelor's degree summa cum laude in English literature at the age of 51. Professor Swigert was invited to be on the faculty at several universities. Among the most exciting experiences of his academic career was his time at Cambridge University, when he was invited to visit as a research scholar. Several Stetson colleagues were subsequently invited to visit at Cambridge University. He and Diane lived for 2 summers in Menton in the French Riviera. For the past 10 years, the Swigerts have split their time between a home in Indiana and Florida. He and his wife have visited more than 60 countries on 7 continents. Their latest trip was a 2-week adventure in Norway. He feels privileged to have found a teaching career that was a wonderful fit and a wife and family who changed his life. Michael I. Swigert is now a member of the Stetson University College of Law Hall of Fame.
Okay. I have to make some corrections. Oh, first of all, I'm sorry, I'm first. Thank you. Thank the steering committee. Thank you, Dean, who I just think the world of, whose name I still remember, but I have to check it. Let me see. It's not Painter. Oh, no, that's a provost. Adams. I remember. Okay. I do this for a reason. I've always had a problem with names. You know, Bob Beatty, I think, knew every single person that ever graduated in his classes from Stetson. I maybe knew 10 by names. And that was a problem, because once I went to a party in St. Petersburg, and I often would run into people who would say, "Oh, Professor Swigert, it's good to see you." And this lady came up to me and my wife at the party and said just that. I said, "Oh, it's so good to see you. What year did you graduate?" "Graduate? I'm in your contracts class." Well, that's just one of the things I wanted to underscore. Secondly, I want to correct. I'm not saying it wasn't done beautifully, but I want to correct a couple things that was said or that was in the film. One, it is true that I excelled in some courses at Carleton College. It is also true that I failed many courses at Carleton College. Now, and it's true, the ones I liked, I went to class. The ones I didn't like, I didn't go to class. I didn't like subjects, but I liked philosophy, and I wasn't taking philosophy, but I bought every single book in the bookstore that was on philosophy. Now, you know something's wrong with me by this time. So that was one thing. Oh, another thing that was said in the thing that I have to take some different point about, and that is, what was it? Oh, I am nearly 80 years old. There is no way in God's earth that I could be allowed or should be allowed ever to teach law again. Impossible. I have trouble remembering so much. That's why I have these papers with names on them, but if I can't see the name, I'm out of luck. Speaking of which,
we love you, Professor Swigert.
Well, that's awfully nice, and I love all of you. I forgot to put on my glasses. Now I can see them, the names. All right. So, but I do seriously, now I'm going to get serious. I want to talk about, first of all, how much I do appreciate, and so sincerely appreciate, so many former colleagues of mine, students, and there are a lot of them here, and I am so grateful for you being here. And faculty members, well, I said faculty members, but and friends. I have some dear friends. One who is here that was born, well, we were raised 3 doors from each other, and I've known him since he was 8 and I was 4. Now he is over, oh, I shouldn't say it. Well, I will, 80. I'm a little bit just under, but we have been, and I'm serious, close friends for that entire period of time, regardless of where we've lived. And I swore if I was told not to mention names because there's too many of you that I love. But I have to say it. John Wilhelm has been my longest friend. Okay. Now, my notes say pause. Okay. The obvious point is that the Stetson University College of Law is a very special institution, a very outstanding law school. Oh, I think it's because of the people, obviously, and this has been demonstrated tonight just by by perhaps the 3 of us, well, not perhaps, but also by so many of you in this room. It's people that are faculty, students, alumni, who have all done so many wonderful things for the school. But I just want to underscore a few very quickly. First of all, the first person I wanted to talk about and mention was Rebecca Morgan. Oh, you've already heard about her. And deserves every word and more. I tell you, I can't think of anybody. Well, that's not a fair thing to say, but if I were in private with her, I would say, Becky, you are the greatest. Anyway, that doesn't mean I don't think everyone else is the greatest, but you got to be careful. All right. So Becky Morgan, and obviously we know all of the different things she did, but I got to mention a couple others. And how can one not mention a person sitting at my table? Professor Eliezer, former Marine colonel. Now, we were hired the same year, 1977, by Dean Dillon. We were hired the same year. And I heard, here is this other person joining the faculty, United States Marine Corps, many, many years. And here he is. Oh, and then he had been an attorney, I think a prosecutor or something in the state of Florida. And I'm thinking to myself, me as a kind of a then radical left-wing, now I'm middle of the road, everybody, middle of the road, left-winger, I just can't imagine a military person at that age, at that time in my life, joining the faculty. Oh my goodness. He turned out to be incredible. Today, because he lives close and we see each other a lot, my closest friend of all the faculty members, but that's only because he lives close. I mean, I love you all. But Professor Eliezer has done so much for the reputation of this law school, nationally and internationally. He really has. This, I mean, everybody in the United States that knows anything about law knows about the Stetson Trial Advocacy, Trial Practice Program. And he and Fred Schaub, who is here tonight, and many others have worked in it, have taken over it. It's still today, 30 years after he started it, still continuing with its greatness, with its highest ratings. It's just you can tell that I'm overdoing this, but I'm not overdoing it. I just remember there's other people I got to talk, and I'm already beyond my 6-minute and 20-second rule. Okay, well, Morgan Eliezer, Ruth Thurman, and I'm going to tell you why. Ruth Thurman, you may know this, was the first woman to be tenured at the Stetson University College of Law. The first. 1975, she joined the faculty, spent more than 30 years on the faculty. And during that time, she was probably, when I got to know her well, she was the most meticulous person that I knew in getting prepared for classes. She just worked so hard and did such a great job. And I think, I'm sorry, didn't mean to break up the applause. And she, this, again, she was the person that I think was the most important as a person that embodied what a woman can do and can encourage women to become lawyers. She was a role model. Now, I can't help but comment on another person who is here, who has done, again, so many things to help this university, and that's Robert Bickle. He started so many programs. I mean, he had national conferences on school law that brought people from across the country, coast to coast, to this area to have these work. These organizational meetings. Sorry, this happens quite frequently. At the same time, he was active in civil rights and a huge proponent of correcting wrongs that happen in our society, and was a leader in that section. So I think that, in my own personal opinion, that Bob Bickle has done enormous good things for the school. Now, even though he's not on the faculty anymore, too bad, but now Judge Michael Allen has also been so good and active for the faculty and propelling its reputation. For example, well, not for example, this is what I want to say. Yes, I am You know what I am. Okay. Michael Allen, started a program called, oh, here it is, the Veterans Center for Veterans Claims, or something like that. Now, that was tremendous. But you know what's happening in only 2 or 3 weeks? Stetson is expanding that program to the Veterans Law Institute. Now, that is significant. And Michael Allen, who, by the way, is now a judge of the U.S., did I say this? U.S. Judge Court of Appeals, in Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims, which is, you know, I guess, though it's such a wonderful job to be at Stetson, you know, to be a judge. A lot of people from Stetson have become judges. You all know that. All right, am I done? No, I have another piece of paper someplace. Oh, well, whoever you are, I love you. Okay, the final thing I do want to say is about 2 deans. First of all, Bruce Jacob. Bruce, you know, let me tell you about diversity. When Bruce became dean, I think in 1968, see, I got it in 69, 70, 72, I think. No, that can't be right. Anyway, when he became dean, there was 1 woman on the faculty, Ruth Thurman. There were no people of African descent. There were no Hispanics. There were no Jewish members on the faculty. It was predominantly white male. Now, being a white male, I'm not totally opposed to that. But the lack of diversity was a very serious problem because most other schools by then, law schools, were much further along the way. By 1970, the number of women entering law schools across the United States was just growing leaps and bounds. Is that the phrase? Anyway, so when I think back of the people that I think have been so, and these are just personal opinions, but people who I think have been so important to the school, Bruce Jacob comes in on many, many levels, on so many ways. But for me, I think that working over a dozen years to diversify the faculty and student body was a major, major success and something that has made this a much greater school of law. Okay. Okay, I was a teacher here. So this last one I like. I also have to, even though we're going back to the mid-1950s, but at that time, the dean was a very famous person in the state of Florida, actually in the world, and you know who it is, Dean Harold Sebring. Now, Dean Sebring, born and raised in Nebraska, nothing wrong about that, but he went on to become a tremendous lawyer, then a judge and chief judge of the Florida Supreme Court. Oh, I forgot. He also, before that, was football coach, head football coach at the University of Florida. Now, isn't that kind of a, could they use him again today? Well, anyway. But anyway, Harold Sebring, Judge Sebring, who was also at the Nuremberg trials, appointed to be a judge there. What did he do at Stetson that really was very, very important, especially at that time in its history? He was determined that the faculty was so-so. He wanted to improve it. And he had a name for it. He had a phrase for it. He wanted a I forgot my glasses. Excuse me. Here it is. A well-rounded faculty. And to that end, what did he do? He hired many judges, both local, state, and retired judges, and brought them on the faculty. He went out and got many seasoned attorneys, and he also looked for and hired many young, very prospective, potential young law teachers. among whom were Dick Dillon and Calvin Kunsel. In any event, I think it was very, very important that Dean, and he was so important in so many ways, but the Dean, okay, you know who I'm talking about, that Dean, see, this is, come on. Anyway, and I'm already at 15 minutes. They're going to bring a strap and pull me off. Anyway, no. Dean Sebring really was had incredible influence on the qualitative growth and improvement of the Stetson College of Law. Now, I end with the point that is obvious. Stetson University, as I said before, is a very special law school. And why is it a very special law school? For one very clear reason. Because of the people, the professors, the alumni, the students that have so worked hard and put this together over, ladies and gentlemen, 118 years and counting. Thank you.
I am so thankful to each of you for joining us for this wonderful and important celebration this evening. We are eternally thankful for these distinguished Hall of Fame inductees and the profound impact that each of them continues to have on Stetson University College of Law. Please join me as we applaud their contributions as a whole one more time. After we conclude in just a couple of moments, I'm going to ask the inductees and their families and friends to stay with us for just a little bit longer and come on up front so that we can take some pictures to remember this evening. But before we conclude, I want to thank the many, many people who worked so hard to make this event possible. I'm going to ask you to hold your applause until the end. So I'd like to thank staff from the following departments. First, the College of Law's Development and Alumni Relations staff: Kevin Hughes, Susan Lane, Debbie Swink, Patricia Tubes, Mike Casey, Tamika Jackson, and Annie Culbertson. They spend months putting together all of the logistics to make this event an annual success. Next, Stan Arthur and Brandy Palmer, who produced tonight's videos. And the Media Services Department, in particular, Dan Payne and Damon Johnson, for their work with tonight's event. Thanks to our staff in the Dean's Office, Communications Office, Public Safety, and Facilities as well. And a very special thank you to President Libby, Provost Painter, our trustees, overseers, alumni, faculty, students, and staff, all of whom combined to make Stetson University College of Law the vibrant, wonderful place that it is. So honorees and families, please stay with us for a bit for some photographs. To everyone else, thank you so much and have a wonderful rest of your evening.